Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Oh my god, ladies and gentlemen, and all other people out there, I hope you are ready for this episode, because this is gonna be big. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast! And what an episode I have for you today, because this week we have some major news to go out and report. So big, in fact, that I cannot do this alone. It's been a long time since I've had one, but I think it's now time that I need to bring in a special guest star with me. And this is someone that I've had a great time before in AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, and I think it would be great to have them again to talk about this, some of these stories that I will be reporting. So, people of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, please welcome back Cellspex. Cell, what is up?
Hey, Matt. I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, actually. So far, starting my day okay. Weather's been pretty crazy, but so far, hopefully we can work things out in here. So, now you've seen all the reports about the news that's been going on. Do you think you're going to be prepared to let it all out on this podcast?
Well, I guess we're gonna find out now, aren't we?
Well, I guess so now. Whether we're ready or not, then we might as well begin this. So I'm guessing you're ready. But chat wall, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it now. Are we all ready now? Let's see. Do we have people prepared? Yes. Yes. All right. Is this the part where we start kicking? Yes, it is the part where we start kicking. And that is great to hear. So with that said and done, let us now go and get this started. And with our first story that I have for you today, just need to fix something. All right, there we go. That's great. So now, the first story that I would like to go and report is easily the biggest news that has happened this week. When the week began, this is the one major thing that a lot of people have been talking about. We have all been waiting for this ever since award season has begun. So now, let us get into the Oscars. Yes, this week, the list of Oscar nominations has officially been revealed, and there have been plenty of things to go and discuss about. Now, of course, I would like to get this out of the way that there have been a few snubs that people would talk about, especially regarding Uncut Gems and Adam Sandler not getting an Oscar nomination for Best Actor. The one time he legitimately would earn one, he didn't get it, unfortunately. And, of course, there have been controversies that have been passing around. Some people would go and say that Oscar So White is back, mainly because almost all the people nominated for the actors and actresses list is pretty much white. And then you also got Oscar So Male, because all the people nominated for Best Director are just male directors. But let's go and try to check out some of them, some of the categories, like the main ones to go and highlight, starting things off with Best Picture, because a lot of them, they do have the movies that do receive the most nominations, including Ford vs. Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. And by the way, just on a side note, I would like to add that when it comes to Joker, that's the one that got the most nominations this year with 11. Meanwhile, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and 1917, they both got 10 nominations each. But considering this is AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, let's go and highlight the ones that we would be more interested. How about starting with Best Visual Effects? Because that's kind of like animation, but in live-action movies. And the nominees for those are Avengers Endgame, The Irishman, 1917, The Lion King, and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. The next thing we should highlight is going to be for Best Original Song, and the nominees for those are I can't let you throw yourself away from Toy Story 4. I'm Gonna Love Me Again from Rocket Man. I'm Standing With You from Breakthrough. Into the Unknown from Frozen 2, and Stand Up from Harriet. But then we also got the animation categories, and this is the ones that we animation fans have been looking forward to. And let's start things off with Best Animated Short. And the nominees for those are DeSera, Hair Love, Kit Bull, Memorable, and Sister. And then finally, the big one, Best Animated Feature. And man, this is a pretty unique list because not many people would expect this one. The nominees are How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, I Lost My Body, Klaus, Missing Link, and finally, Toy Story 4. So with all of that said, Cell, would you like to express some of your opinions regarding some of these nominations, or mainly with Best Animated Feature?
Well, considering the general disdain that the Academy has had towards streaming services in the past, I'm thrilled to see 2 Netflix nominations in the animated feature category.
Yes. Sorry to interrupt, but also that's another great thing to point out because with both Klaus and I Lost My Body, they are both the first ever movies from Netflix to be nominated for Best Animated Feature. So you may continue.
Yes, that's true. I've generally, attributing, if I'm perfectly honest, I think that the theatrical animated lot was a little weak this year, which may be attributed to this phenomenon. I'm honestly more impressed that Frozen 2 did not get nominated. But no, I'm thrilled that I Lost My Body is there. I am extremely thrilled that Klaus is there. I like that Missing Link get some recognition because I feel that was very underappreciated. I always appreciate when Laika gets some cred. I'm glad that to a certain degree, I'm a little surprised that I think Missing Link won the Golden Globes, but I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah.
Toy Story 4 is still there because I think Toy Story 4 was great, so I'm fine with that being there. But in terms of like Disney sometimes feeling like it's taking over the world sometimes, like I said, I'm glad that kind of Frozen 2 is not there. And of course, the third one for our favorite DreamWorks franchise, or maybe Kung Fu Panda is also up there.
Yeah.
Glad to see the finale of that on there. It's one of these cases like I would love Klaus, kind of like with Spider-Verse. I would kind of like Klaus to win just for kind of like what that would do to the industry.
Yeah, that is true. It would be like a bit of an interesting twist that it doesn't necessarily always have to be Disney. And honestly, I really do agree. I really do agree with you. And I have seen a lot of people state that technically the biggest animation snub this year would be the fact that Frozen 2 did not actually get a nomination. But I feel like this is a little bit of a similar case to Finding Dory. While it is a really good sequel, or at least I find it to be a really good sequel, like the reason why it didn't get nominated is mainly because there are a lot of great movies that are in its place. Like for me, I feel like with this entire category, I'm honestly perfectly okay with it. I don't know if I would really want to go and make a few adjustments. That's an interesting question. If you would change something in the Best Animated Feature category, what would you do? I'm honest.
Honestly, I would put Lego Movie 2 in there above Frozen 2. That's just me. I'm a sucker for the Lego movies, and I do think that Frozen 2 was good. It's one of those things that's like, you made your $1 billion. That's what you wanted out of it. You don't need the award too.
Yeah, I mean, like technically it already got the nomination for Best Original Song with Into the Unknown, and I mean like
right, so it's still there.
Yeah.
So I'm perfectly fine with that. It's more that the fascinating nature of Frozen 2 that the opinions are kind of all over the place. But generally happy. I'm happy with this list. I'm fine with it being the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, if I could be honest with me, if I would make one adjustment, then it would probably be with I Lost My Body. Now, I understand I Lost My Body is there mainly because it is like the mandatory indie film. But for me, I have seen I Lost My
That's
Body, and that one is a little iffy to me. I'm not saying it's a bad film at all. It's just, it's not a pleasant film to watch, if that does make sense. Like maybe I would need another watching to fully understand it more with what it's trying to do. But if I would make a change, I would swap I Lost My Body with Weathering With You, because I just saw that this week, and
Always appreciated anime. I have not seen Weathering With You. I'm actually going to see that tonight. But no, yeah, I would very much like it if the Academy started paying attention to more anime films.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just like last year, like with the first time where it was the first time that a non-Studio Ghibli film got nominated with Mirai. Remember that?
That's right. Oh, I was really happy to see that because I love Moro Hosoda.
Yeah. So yeah, and so I guess with Best Animated Feature, here is a big question though. If you would have to go and pick one to actually be the winner, like who would you think deserves to win the most, or which one do you think would win?
Uh, it's kind of a hard call. I mean, if we're going with statisticals, I think a lot of people are probably just going to end up going with Toy Story 4 because Toy Story is a very familiar franchise. It's one, and like I said earlier, I would like it for Claus to win because I would like what influence that would have to the industry. I would like people to pay attention and start experimenting with more animation styles more. I think that Toy Story 4 probably will. And generally, like, I wouldn't even necessarily hate it if it did. I think that Toy Story 4, again, another kind of all of the Disney and Pixar sequels have had a big range of responses. I like what Toy Story 4 did with its narrative. I think it went into a really interesting, unique direction, and it was probably, in terms of story, one of the more interesting ones this year. So I'd be fine. I'd be okay if that won. I'd also be okay with Disney not winning.
Okay, understandable. For me, I would say, like, for my personal pick, among all these, I would actually go for Toy Story 4. I love that movie so much. I feel like it really did achieve the impossible and really elevate and continue the story and meet to the same standards as the previous Toy Story films. Like even after doing a perfect ending with Toy Story 3, after Toy Story 3. But for me, honestly, I feel like who would actually win? I feel like for the first time ever for the Best Animated Feature category, it's completely unpredictable. Like, I don't know.
It really is. It's kind of a crapshoot at this point.
Absolutely. For me, it's like, it's one of three choices that I feel like would eventually end up being the winner. I feel like it's going to be a major toss-up between Klaus, Missing Link, and Toy Story 4. And for me, I would say it's mainly because of the Golden Globes that really threw me off in terms of who's going to be the one that would ultimately be the winner. So I feel like it's going to be like one of those three is going to end up winning the Oscars, but I feel like it's going to be one of those things where it will be a bit of a wait and see. Now, maybe a lot of people are right. Maybe Toy Story 4 would win, and if so, I'll be happy with it because I really like the film. But honestly, like with any of them, I would definitely be happy if they did win the Oscar.
Yeah, I'm generally like it's always a bummer when they have those years where someone just feels like a fill-in vote. Especially when you know that there are some movies that a lot of them didn't even see, like a lot of anime movies. But no, generally speaking, anything here would be deserving of the award, which is always good when that happens.
Absolutely. And regarding some of the other categories, do you have any comments on that? Like Best Animated Short or some of the others you would like to express your thoughts?
Well, I haven't seen. I'm not so much on into visual effects. And I don't know if I'm a good judge of like what particularly is great about them. I always prefer visual effects to be more creative than just realism. So I genuinely don't particularly care if I mean and the whole thing with the de-aging technology in Irishman, like again, I just don't think I'm a good one to judge that. I don't want Lion King to win just because I don't want it to. And the shorts, I haven't seen all of the shorts. I have seen Hair Love and I have seen Kit Bull, and I love both of those. And I would love for either of them to win, but I haven't checked out the other ones yet.
Yeah, honestly, the same with me. I would say the exact same for Best Animated Short. The only ones that I have legitimately seen are Hair Love and Kit Bull. Kit Bull, I was honestly surprised to see it be nominated here, considering it is just a Pixar Spark short. Like, it's one of their more experimental shorts that they would let some of their beginner animators that they would do on the side. And seeing that one getting nominated was honestly quite a shocker, but, you know, major congrats on them. And I'm really happy to see Hair Love to be nominated. I love that short. It always
that short is amazing. It's
it always puts me nearly in tears. And the funny thing is that I remember during the summer, whenever people would go and talk a little bit about the Angry Birds movie, like in my mind, because like it appeared in front of the Angry Birds movie too, and on my mind I was thinking, it's like, yeah, that's nice, yeah, it's funny, it's a surprise and stuff like that, but Hair Love though. You gotta love Hair Love.
Go pay the $10, go see Hair Love, and then you can leave.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Like, that actually used to happen. I think that at one point before trailers were like released widely on YouTube, I think that there was a couple times that my parents went to the movie theaters just to watch trailers, and then they would go into a different movie.
Oh wow. They would just watch the trailers for one thing and then just jump to the next feature.
Yeah, I think that was around when Lord of the Rings was coming out. They're big fantasy buffs, so they went to whatever movie had the statistical possibility of showing the Lord of the Rings trailer, and then they would see a different movie.
The struggle of the pre-YouTube days are real, aren't they?
They really are. You young whippersnappers will never understand what we went through.
They'll never understand, like, going through the list of trailers before starting the movie, whether it be in cinemas or, like, before a VHS and DVD.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah, those
you wouldn't know a movie was come out until you actually went to the movie theater.
Yeah. There used to be
surprises.
Weird. Yeah.
You had no choice but to watch television live. You had to watch. Well, we had VHSs, but.
Well, I mean, and even at that, our choices are very limited. In fact, we didn't even have much choice.
I mean, we still had more than like the 80s and the 70s, but there you go.
Yeah, good point. Still, it is hard for me to say, about some of the other nominations. Honestly, the one thing I would disagree with you a little bit is the nomination on The Lion King for Best Visual Effects. I know that a lot of people do have a grudge on The Lion King, but if it would be nominated for one award, it would specifically be for Best Visual Effects. Like, yeah, the use of it is not great for the purpose of the movie, but at least it really achieved amazingly on a technical level to really basically bring the entire to bring the entirety of Africa to life. Like, that's one thing that, like, yeah, okay, it deserves that one nomination, but that's pretty much it.
No, I'm not saying that it didn't deserve it. I'm just saying I don't want it to win.
Okay, yeah, fair point. But
no, I'm not saying it's not bad technology. Like, same thing with the de-aging. Sometimes it's like I'm impressed at some of the things we're able to do, but it's like me being impressed by technology is not what makes me like a movie.
Yeah, but one thing I will say...
That's my entire thing about motion capture, too. It's like, yes, I'm impressed. I didn't enjoy this movie.
Yeah, fair point. But one thing I will say with Best Visual Effects is that I do start to see a pattern with it. And usually with Best Visual Effects, they don't often go with, like, the big name pictures. So, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if movies like Rise of Skywalker, Lion King, and Endgame, they don't actually get it. I would actually see... Right. I would honestly see something like Irishman or 1917 actually have a stronger chance to win an Oscar for Best Visual Effects than any of those.
Well, that is the thing these days. As the technology gets more and more, it's more about who's the best at hiding the seams.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, which is, and also, well, just in general, if the Academy had an option, they'd probably vote for the more serious dramas anyway if they had a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and granted, like I did see the de-aging technology in The Irishman. I haven't seen 1917 yet, so I don't know how great that is. And in terms of, I know that it's another like non-moving shot, and I hope it's just not a case of like, oh my god, we can't see where the hidden cut is.
Yeah.
It's not the first one to do that. But we'll see. No, I can't judge it because I haven't seen it, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yes, and one I think I almost forgot to mention from my previous statement at the beginning, but also with The Irishman, I forgot to mention that's also another one that got nominated for 10 Oscars along with 1917 and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yep.
I guess the only question now, this is probably the big craziest question. Like, even though you might not have seen all these movies, but would you want to take a shot and guess who do you think would win Best Picture?
Oh God, I don't know. After at this point, it really there's virtually no way to win. Like these days, when I think about who will win, that's a different question of which one I think is the best, because the way that the Oscars vote on these things is so weird, and as we saw last year, kind of ends up being a middle of the road kind of thing. It's not about which is the best, it's which is the one that people probably consider. It's which one will get the most votes, which one will have the least votes, I guess. Which is kind of hard to I don't think it's going to be Joker.
Yeah, me
I just don't think the Academy's still in this place where it's willing to pacify the internet masses by nominating them. They're still not up to actually letting them win.
Yeah, it's like so in the case of Joker, you say like it's more of a crowd pleaser type of nomination, a little bit like last year with Bohemian Rhapsody.
Right. You know what? It might be The Irishman just because Martin Scorsese blew a big stinking stink about it. So it was in the news for a while. It might just be that for that reason. Just in terms of if I'm talking about anything that I think would just get votes because it's been in the news recently, it'd probably be that. I'd really like it if Parasite won, because I don't think they've done a foreign film for Best Picture yet.
Yeah, and especially with Parasite, it has been getting a lot of records considering that this is South Korea's first their first big chance at getting into the Oscars. Like, it's the first South Korean film to be nominated for an Oscar in general, and the first one to be nominated for Best Picture as well.
Right. Now, I don't know how many people would vote for it. I would love it if it won. I haven't seen Marriage Story. I do know that there are 2 Netflix films on here.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and I don't know if
you got The Irishman and Marriage Story, yeah.
Yeah. In terms of the others, like, I just don't know, because some of the other ones aren't as widely released, if they would. I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's got a decent shot just because it's about Hollywood, and boy, Hollywood loves movies about Hollywood.
That is absolutely true.
Uh-huh.
No, and honestly, that's the one thing that I do disagree with you a little bit. I feel like it is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, for that reason, would probably have the strongest chance of actually winning Best Picture. Now, it might not, and you could be right. It could be The Irishman, but I wouldn't be surprised if they would go after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because it is a movie about Hollywood, and plus the fact that you got all the big lovable celebrities and filmmakers working on it, that it is like with Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt, Leo DiCaprio, and especially this is a Quentin Tarantino movie. So it would make some pretty big headlines if they would state that Quentin Tarantino has finally made a Best Picture film, because pretty soon he's no longer going to be making movies. Like, he did announce that he probably has like 1 or 2 left in his system.
You know, that's probably a factor. They really do like to give awards to people that they feel have been long denied them for a while and may not have chances in the future. So I think that's also additionally a factor. So, and then 1917 is a war film. Those always have a decent shot. So,
that is a very good point. And again, like you mentioned, like with The Irishman, that's another one where with 1917, people are really talking about it a lot, especially with the filmmaking process and how they try to seamlessly make it all one shot for everything. I could definitely see. I could definitely see.
They really do love that. They love that gimmick.
Oh yeah, I mean there are some movies that do it well,
yeah, definitely. I'm not saying it's not a fun gimmick. I'm just saying you can tell. It's like, okay, so this one's going for an Oscar.
Yeah, like one of my favorite Hitchcock movies is Rope, which honestly is very underappreciated and such a fantastic film. But like they could go for 1917 in the same way that they went for Birdman, because that's technically like the same thing.
Yep. So, Birdman was also technically about acting and stuff, so...
Oh, yeah, that's technically like another like Hollywood-type movie about Hollywood.
It's one where the actor gave it to the critic, and it's like, man, I bet everybody loved that.
Oh,
you might as well have been giving those showbiz people exactly what they wanted.
If it's about me, then it wins. But yeah, I think we've pretty much covered the most that we could say about the Oscars. So I think to cap this off, I would like to say congratulations to all the people that are nominated. And we don't have to wait for too long, considering that the Oscars are going to be on February 9th. So mark your calendars for that.
Wow, that's early.
Oh yeah, this is the first time that they are doing it legitimately early. Usually they do it either in the beginning of March or at the end of February, but in this case, they're going to try something new with the beginning of February, again, with no host this time, and we'll see we'll see how that goes.
Just didn't even want to take a chance this time. I get it. Oh, did you see the video of the Claus people reacting to their nomination?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. That
was
sweet.
Nice.
That is sweet.
That was great.
Yeah. The one that I remember more, funny enough, is the Hair Love nomination. Like, I
didn't see that one.
Yeah. They posted it, and, like, it was really nice. Like, you got, like, the small group of people that worked on it, and then, like, the nomination was announced, and, like, they were all, like, praising each other. They were all giving each other hugs. It was very sweet.
Oh, that's nice. I gotta check that out.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's on social media. It's spread everywhere. Like, if you go on Matthew Cherry's Twitter account, I'm sure you'll see it several times.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so with that said, now we have put our piece onto it. Now it is time that we're going to pass on the mic to the chat wall. And it's time to ask you guys, what do you think about this year's Oscar nominations list? Are there anything you would like to comment on it? I know there's a lot to say. Like, do you think there are some snubs that you feel like it happened? Are there some that you're really happy that it got nominated? Let me know what you all think. Okay, we got plenty here. Let's see. If I want to go for my personal pick for Best Animated Feature, I'm hoping for Missing Link. I mean, I do adore Toy Story 4. I love the heck out of out of Klaus, but I feel like they have a lot more attention than The Underdog. You know, the one that won the freaking Golden Globes for Best Animated Feature. But hey, the Oscars are unpredictable nowadays, so yeah, I'm rooting for Missing Link, aka the underdog Sasquatch, who's not so legendary, right? Okay, you know that's fair. Hopefully this time around, like, the Missing Link people would be ready in case they actually do win. Like, did you actually see that little moment in the Golden Globes when they actually won?
I did not see that, but I bet it was surprise. I bet they were surprised.
Oh my God, it was actually pretty funny. It was pretty funny. They were not prepared. They were even up there like, why am I holding this? Why are we here?
That's actually really cute.
Oh yeah, no, it is worth a watch. All right, let's see now. I never really cared for the Oscars, but I want Endgame to win Best Visual Effects so Thanos can get his Infinity Award at long last. As for Best Animated Feature, I want Klaus to win, but it's very likely Toy Story 4 will win given the past years except for Spider-Verse. Except for a few others as well, but I digress. I wish they can continue that though, but this year's animated films will be interesting for the next year's nomination, and dang, I'm surprised Joker got a lot. Endgame should have gotten a lot too. Well, I mean, I guess technically, like, if there is one positive outlook for Joker, is that at least this is a moment of celebration for the DC fans, that they got a movie where it got the most nominations out of all of them. I mean, last year Marvel got their shot with Black Panther and technically Spider-Verse as well, if you count that, but like with this year,
that's kind of a not entire.
It's kind of a maybe, kinda, but it's like a different story. But like, at least for the DC fans, they do have like their major representative movie. So at least like this is a celebration for them. If there is one positive outlook to take from all that.
Yeah, maybe they'll all be quiet now.
Maybe.
It's been like, you got your thing, okay? DC movies are now not automatically terrible. Good for you guys.
But my thing is the Snyder Cut. Can I have that now?
This. Be quiet. It's still probably not good.
Alright, anyways. Well, in terms of my nomination predictions, I did got a perfect score for Best Animated Feature and Best Picture. In terms of the animation category, we do have the Producers Guild tonight and a few weeks with the BAFTAs and the Annies. And as for original song, I'm basically rooting for I'm Gonna Love Me Again, and I'm glad Spirit is not nominated in there either. Also, Netflix has basically ruled the Oscars this year in terms of nominations, including 2 for Best Picture. With snubs, you also got Taron Egerton for Best Actor. And, yeah, like, I would say that...
What did he do this year?
Taron Egerton?
What did he do?
He played Elton John in Rocket Man.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and that's another notable snub that many people would mention, is that he did a great job as Elton John, and he didn't get nominated. But, actually, if I may put my little piece onto... Best Original Song, I am actually pleasantly surprised to see Toy Story 4 getting another nomination. But honestly, if I could be realistic, I wouldn't be surprised if it is I'm Gonna Love Me Again that would win. Like, yeah, Let It Go got lucky, but I don't think Into the Unknown would actually be the big winner, especially when Rocket Man is the movie where it's about Elton John, and we have an Elton John song nominated, so... I'm sure there's a major chance that they'll just go for Elton John because Elton John.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, let's see, what other comments do we have here? I think it will go to Missing Link just because the Golden Globes, but I do think Klaus was a protest vote, so Lion King could not get in. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why some people think that... I don't know why some people think that The Lion King would even have a chance to be nominated for Best Animated Feature. If you do look at the category for, or if you saw the shortlist for Best Animated Feature, The Lion King was not in there. It wouldn't have a chance to be nominated anyways. So I don't know where people got the idea that, oh, The Lion King is going to get nominated at the Oscars. Like, maybe because of the Golden Globes that did that sudden twist. But no, it wouldn't happen anyways.
Yeah, that was hilarious. No, I don't think Disney even wanted to put it up for that, so...
Well, yeah, of course, because there's still...
There were still other things they also could have nominated, and that people would have just put in front of it, because I think that at least most people get that it wasn't that great.
Yeah, I think they're getting the picture now. I mean, considering that these Disney live-action remakes, they have a very short lifespan anyways... So, I think they're getting the picture that people don't necessarily care about the Lion King remake. Like they got a lot of money, but that money has become dry. It's back to the cartoon now.
I mean, that's all basically what all of them are for. They're pretty much all being made for money and will be forgotten in time pretty quickly.
Yeah, in just a few months.
Right.
And I'll go read one more comment before we're going to jump on to the next story. If you ask me what I think will win, I'm rooting for Klaus, but honestly, I have no idea. It's entirely unpredictable, unlike the Best Original Song category. Don't get me wrong, I like Into the Unknown, and I wasn't expecting I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away, but it's so obvious the winner is I'm Gonna Love Me Again from Rocket Man. But I do have one question sitting in the back of my mind. Does this mean Lion King is the third animated feature to be nominated for Best Visual Effects? Yes, I would say, actually. I mean, that is true. I think that does actually count as the third animated film to be nominated for Best Visual Effects, and the first CGI animated feature to be nominated, so... Yeah, you do bring up a good point. Like, not many people want to talk about it, but, I mean, it is true, though.
Seems about right. What are the other ones that were nominated?
For Best Visual Effects?
Right.
There's Endgame, Rise of Skywalker, Irishman, and 1917.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those ones.
No, I mean the other animated ones that were nominated in the past.
The other ones. Actually, it's just The Nightmare Before Christmas and Kubo and the Two Strings.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, before it was just the stop-motion films.
Well, it's nice that they at least got calls.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I guess again, I don't particularly.
Like you're no expert in the best visual effects category.
I'm not good. I'm not good with the visual effects. No.
Yeah. Unless everything is visual effects, then we wouldn't know what it is.
Right.
All right. I just need a little bit of water now. Okay, so I think that all covers it for the Oscar nominations, and now it is time that we're going to jump onto our next story, in which we are going to be discussing what used to be a controversial topic, but now it seems like it has resurfaced a little bit. And so, maybe this is a little silly question, but do you still watch The Simpsons nowadays?
Not really. It's been a while. I think I drop in on it I think I watch Treehouse of Horror every year. I think I touch down on them every once in a while if I've got nothing else to do, but it's not something I watch regularly anymore, no.
Yeah, honestly, I gave up on it years ago. I don't think I even watched the Treehouse of Horrors, so I've pretty much moved on from The Simpsons. But it seems that recently, or this week, there has been a sudden turn of events. It used to be a major topic a couple of years ago, but it looks like this topic will happen all over again, and now we are going to see a bit of the effects happening to Apu. Yes, folks, it is official. Hank Azaria has revealed that he will no longer be voicing Apu in The Simpsons. This has officially been confirmed by Slash Film, where they asked him when he was promoting the final season of his series Brockmire, and he stated that the only thing that he knows so far is that he's not going to be voicing Apu, and that's it. In fact, I'm going to read you from my source here on Slash Films, as Hank Azaria states, all we know there is I won't be doing the voice anymore unless there's some way to transition it or something. Regarding the aspects of what's going to happen to Apu, that will remain to be seen. That is still something that the showrunners at The Simpsons are currently discussing. But they also have stated as well that this is one thing that is a complete mutual agreement that all the showrunners, the show creators, the people that are producing the show, and Hank Azaria himself have all agreed on doing. Where he also said, we all made the decision together. We all agreed on it. We all feel like it's the right thing and good. We all feel like it's the right thing and good about it. And he also stated about what's going to happen with Apu if he is still going to stay in the show. He stated, what they're going to do with the character is their call. It's up to them, and they haven't sorted out yet. All we've agreed on is I won't do the voice anymore. So that's pretty much the big thing, is that Hank Azaria is not Apu anymore. So, Cell, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, hopefully I don't digress this into a whole thing about about the moral stance of comedy, because that's always a really great, pleasant conversation to have online. No, I know I'm generally happy with this news. I remember that at some point, relatively briefly after the documentary came out, that Hank Azaria himself said that he understood where it was coming. He went on Colbert and he talked about how he understood where it was coming from, and that he generally agreed with, the role it was playing. Like, in terms of how the Simpsons themselves responded to the controversy.
Oh, yeah.
Which was essentially being a giant whiny baby about it. Like, he went on and was actually like a mature adult. So I'm really glad that I'm pretty happy with this decision. It's one of these cases where I think that to a point, like, Simpsons at this point, it's 30 seasons in, people barely talk about it anymore. Like, frankly, when the whole thing popped up, it's like, well, this is the first time anyone's talked about the Simpsons in the news in years. And it really does feel like Simpsons is just kind of like the old man in the cartoon world that's just like, all we want to do is get our paychecks. We don't want to make waves. We just want to keep making our show until enough of us stop caring enough to even bother doing it anymore.
Yeah, that is true.
And I think that, after he was an adult about it, and it's just, and I'm glad that they all came to the decision mutually. From what I saw in the article, or possibly somewhere else, like, they still apparently intend for Apu to still be around, which is interesting because in the past, when they've lost when they've lost voice actors, they haven't replaced them. They've just, like, with the teacher, she died, so that's a bit of a different case when they just decided to retire the character. So this is a bit of a different situation in terms of, like, the concept of recasting, but other cartoon shows have done that. They've done the recasting thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think that recasting is going to throw the entire show up into the air or anything, because, again, barely anybody cares anymore. I mean, obviously it still has some ratings, which is why it's even still going.
It's more for traditional purposes than it is for, like, ratings purposes.
Yeah, this, again, like, I just think it's just people that's like, we're just used to doing things this way now. We just want our paychecks. Just let us keep going until we literally can't anymore.
Oh, that is a good point. And, well, the thing is that you could see how the Simpsons themselves, they are turning over a new leaf. And even with the discussion about replacing voices after the actors passed away. I mean, like, they've done that plenty of times before, but even recently, they're starting to do the replacements. Considering that several months ago, Russi Taylor has passed away, but they didn't say that they are going to retire characters like Martin Prince. In fact, they already found.
Okay. I think I did not know that.
Yeah, I think Grey Griffin is going to be replacing her for, like, several of the voices, like Martin Prince and Sherry and Terry. So that option has now become officially open. And, like, you could see through time how the people that are running The Simpsons, that they have basically grown since, like, their reaction to the whole Apu controversy. And they started to become a bit more unanimous on thinking about what to do in terms of, like, what would be the right thing. Like, the first sign that I saw that recently was with the decision about Stark raving dad. Like, back when the whole Michael Jackson controversy was brand new because of the HBO documentary, they all mutually agreed to no longer show Stark raving dad in streaming services or any new releases of DVDs and stuff like that. So you could tell that they start to be a little more like, they start to have a bit of a more moral compass in terms of their decisions on what to do. And I guess with the situation of Apu, they did take a little bit of time to think. And I do agree, I definitely do agree with you in terms of their reaction, where Hank Azaria definitely took it maturely in the situation, whereas the Simpsons, like, they tried to be a little bit rebellious in a way. Like, in a sense, you could say, it. I guess in more internet terms, like, they have a bit of a more anti-SJW approach to it. It's like, screw the PC culture, we did nothing wrong, Apu's a great character, it's the people complaining that are wrong, and stuff like that.
It was, honestly, that was them being kind of a whiny brats about it that also were pretty dumb about it, because like the first thing they said was like, I think like the line that Lisa said was like a character that was originally like applauded and celebrated. It's like, are you serious?
Yeah. The most hypocritical thing Lisa has ever said.
And it's just very, very, it's like, I don't think that you made that character, the whole thing about when you make a lot of racial stereotypes, especially back in the 90s, the entire reason why a lot of people do that is it's partially to be offensive. The offensiveness that you're doing this to a racial character is, at least that's part of the reason why it's funny. So don't act like you're like it was perfectly fine then, because it wasn't. It might not have been the most offensive thing ever, but it wasn't great or applauded. But it's, I think that's, I guess that technically you can argue that point. But more to the point, there's especially the place where it feels incredibly hypocritical is because it has that episode of the Krusty episode where he's trying to go back to doing stand-up after he's been out of the game for a long time.
Oh, that one.
And literally the thing he does is he goes on stand-up and he does a really offensive caricature of a Chinese person and literally the entire point of that was to show that comedy changes and that stuff that was okay a long time ago is not necessarily okay now. So that was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that really does highlight of how Simpsons was then and Simpsons is now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and honestly, when it comes to all this, like, especially when it comes to, like, the Apu controversy and what they're doing, I feel like my opinion still stands. Like, it has not changed since the whole problems with Apu controversy emerged a couple of years ago. And the thing that I need to say is, unless you really do care about The Simpsons now, unless you still watch the show, then what's the point of complaining what's the point of complaining about it? And I don't care which side that you're in, rather it be that you do find Apu to be offensive, or if you don't, or if you want to defend the heck out of Apu. The whole thing is that it's about Apu in the new episodes. You cannot be against the new episodes and refuse to watch the new episodes and be all emotionally invested about Apu at the same time. Because the thing is that this is very minimal when it comes to the changes that are going to apply. It's just one minor character in the show is going to have a bit of a voice change. Because technically, The Simpsons is still going. Hank Azaria still has his job, like, he's still gonna be voicing plenty
He's still voicing, like, a lot of characters.
Exactly.
It's not like he's losing his job. He's still a really great voice actor, so. And I love Hank Azaria, so I'm glad he's still, like, there and doing stuff.
Yeah, same with me. Like, he's very talented, and I mean, like, he still has tons of characters, and, like, Apu is not necessarily his most memorable or best character in The Simpsons anyways, so there's not much that is even lost anyways, and they even report, and there have been several reports where they say that they may not take away Apu in general. Like, you'll still have Bart and Milhouse hanging out at the Quickie Mart and see Apu for some reason. And, like, maybe the way that they would go and approach it, like, maybe they'll find a way to be clever about it, like, have some kind of voice change, or, like, and I mean, it's not necessarily the first time, that stuff like that would happen with The Simpsons, although they can happen just temporarily. At least they'll find a way to make it canon, to be aware about the voice change with Apu and what they can do to approach it.
Mm-hmm.
Any more that you wanna add into it?
I think that we got the bulk of our stuff about it. I will say that, like, not going to step fully into the whole comedy thing. I will say, however, that in that entire realm, like, sometimes when you're a comedian and you make a stance and you can't like, kind of like I said earlier, you can't do something that you kind of know has the possibility to rub people the wrong way and then be shocked when people don't take it well. And especially when you make a joke and you have a particular group of people that's the target, if you're not the target, you can't control how they feel about it. And it's not even as though every single Indian person was, outraged by this. It's not even though, if you've seen the documentary itself, which granted I've only seen clips of it, he's not even like angry. He's not saying that Apu is like the worst thing to ever happen to Indian people. He's just explaining the effect that it had. It's not like hey, I hate Apu and I hate the Simpsons because he loves the Simpsons. It's literally just like, hey, just letting you know, this is he's using it more like to highlight the racial situation and what the kind of effect that stereotypes have. So it's a way more formidable than it is necessarily about throwing Simpsons under the bus, which was more about, like, there was an interview where he said, it's like, when he saw the response, it's like, I don't think they even watched the documentary.
That's one thing I wanted to ask. That's one thing I really would love to know. Among all the people who are outraged about the fact that Apu is considered controversial and all the Apu defenders, I would love to know how many of them have legitimately watched the documentary.
Right. And I think that, like, it's not a giant, like, horrible takedown that people, like, might assume just because, like, I mean, granted, it's a very inflammatory title, but I think that for a lot of people, the title is all they know.
Oh yeah, essentially.
And that's which is basically just the clickbait way of our culture, where we judge all news reports by their titles, which is unfortunate. And granted, like, I was trying to watch the documentary, like, I've actually not been able to find a very solid place. I think you can see it, like, on True TV if you have a cable provider, which I don't, so I can't.
I don't think I have it, honestly. Like, maybe if you do like a strong amount of like, if you just go onto the internet and, like, look hard enough, then maybe you can find something. But other than that, yeah, I don't know.
So no, in general, like, I think that, like, again, this is a very mature take, again, because I think barely anybody even cares about The Simpsons anymore. It's not like it's going to create a whole Ryle effect.
No. Like, honestly, like, if you are offended of the fact that they are even changing Apu, then it better be because you are currently watching the show and that you do have...
I know, if you're not watching it, shut up.
Yeah, exactly. That's big.
Nobody cares.
That's my hot take on it. You need, like, honestly, if you really do care about Apu right now, you have to watch the show. Otherwise, you don't have a take on it. Honestly, like, it's not, like, if it were my decision, not only would I remove Apu, I would just remove the whole show anyway, like, in its entirety. Like, just end the show now.
I would have ended it at 30. I would end it with the Christmas special they did when they did with the future, which I think was supposed to be a season finale anyway. I would have ended it then.
Exactly. So just, like, that would have been the perfect moment to just end it off right there. It's like, we're starting to see a lot of problems with how the show is still continuing even after 30 years. Just let it have a legacy, man. Let The Simpsons have a legacy. Let The Simpsons have a conclusion so that we can look back at The Simpsons and think about it positively for once.
I know, lest you continue and become Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's sad, like, when
you don't want your legacy to be the not best things that you did.
Oh yeah, I think, like, they've already passed Game of Thrones, like, a long time ago.
Like, technically, they passed Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones was even existed, but there you go.
Exactly. Now it's time that I want to go and pass on to the chat wall, and I would like to know, what do you guys think about the Apu controversy, and what do you think about Hank Azaria retiring as Apu? Let me know what you all think right now. Let's see now. Oh, we got one here. I'm worried that this decision will cause a bad influence on voice casting to become more limited. this kind of goes against the concept of voice acting. That's kind of like saying it's wrong for a black man like Phil Lamar to voice an Asian character like Samurai Jack, and it's wrong for a Hispanic man like Carlos Azaria to voice an Australian character like Rocco. Maybe humanity shouldn't voice animal characters, only animals can voice animals. Okay, no.
That's a little bit of an exaggeration.
That's a bad take right there.
I mean, first of all, 90% of the time when we're talking about this, we're talking about the whitewashing effect. We're talking about white guy, especially white men, taking on roles of minorities, and it's about minority representation. So Phil Lamar going after Samurai Jack is probably not going to happen, especially because I don't think there's going to be any more Samurai Jack. In terms of whether or not you guys think that's fair on a technical level, it's like, I'm sorry, the situation doesn't exist in a vacuum. The whitewashing effect matters. And secondly, like, this definitely isn't going to apply like to the general gist of like accents. I mean, it's not like you can't voice a stereotypical French person with a stereotypical French accent. You need to go get an authentic French person. Like, that's never going to happen. That's just never going to be viable. And like, part of the reason why even voice actors have a lot of their system, I know, is because that just the audition processes themselves are like expensive and take up a lot of time. So a lot of times they will, sometimes even regardless of the backlash, just take people. It's like, can you do this? Good, you do that. So we don't have to hire anybody else. But but when it comes to particular race, when it comes to maybe particular races, like hopefully now they at least have a couple in their repertoire that they can call up.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like this is not necessarily a voice acting issue. This is more of a stereotype issue. That's the thing, is we're discussing about the stereotypical depiction of a minority group. That's the real problem right here. It's not about representation in voice acting. It's more about the stereotyping element in this controversy.
Right, and that's happening less these days when it comes to even just creating shows. They don't make they just have that tendency where that's just happening less.
Mm-hmm. Some people are being careful in terms of who they cast and stuff, but for the most part, this is not going to cause some kind of like ripple effect on the voice acting industry or anything like that. All right. Anyways, let's go and let's jump on to the next comment here. I'm proud that they've reached for this decision, and I'm proud that Hank Azaria was mature and understanding about it. I think Apu would still be around and would be replaced by an Indian actor and would be portrayed like a much less stereotypical way, but I don't care for this show. I'm always more a Futurama guy, which knew when to end. That is definitely true.
Yep. Absolutely. No arguments there.
Let's see. Let's go into here. Let's be honest, folks. Is anyone going to notice this? Not that we know for sure that Azaria's replacement will be great, since again, who the hell knows, but seriously, who in the chat wall ever watches new episodes of The Simpsons? I'll admit, I still watch the show, but only reruns of season 5 on my DVR. But regardless, here's hoping the new guy is just as good. Now, if you excuse me, I have to go now. My planet needs me. and also, yeah, you know, that's one thing I would like to ask as well for the Apu defenders. I would like to ask them, what recent thing that Apu has done that is memorable? Like, what's the most recent Apu memory that you would have? Because last I recall, I don't even remember. It's just like, maybe it's just the shenanigans of Apu with his many kids, and that's it? Honestly, I can't even...
Yeah, has there been an Apu-centered episode in the past decade?
Yeah, or anything, or what is it that Apu did that is memorable? Like, what is it that Apu did recently that made you love him so much? Because honestly, like, people are just honestly, this really does sound like people are just reacting out of nostalgia more so than it is for the sake of, the current show as is. It's, like, more for being nostalgic than actually being a modern Simpsons fan.
or even just to take, again, people who aren't even watching the systems but just want to be anti-politically correct because they just feel like being that.
Yeah.
I want to take a stance on this thing that I do not watch.
Exactly.
Because reasons.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see, I'll read one more, then we're going to jump on to the next thing. I respect the decision for the voice actor to stop voicing Apu, and if Apu stays on the show, I think Aziz Ansari or even Kunal Nayar might be great choices to take over the roles if they actually want an actor who would be a proper fit. Also, it is Grey Griffin that took over Russi Taylor's roles. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought about that. All right.
I think that, I don't know if they'll pick one of them. There actually was an episode of The Simpsons where there was an episode at some point before the documentary came out where it was literally about, or it might have been afterward, I don't know exactly when, where Aziz Ansari played a character against Hank Azaria doing Apu, and there was literally a discussion where it's like, man, you're such a stereotype. and then Apu defended himself by saying, like, I don't even know how he defended himself, but basically it was a way for like Apu to come up on top of the argument. So it was a white guy, Hank Azaria, playing an Indian guy, winning against an argument against a quirky young millennial telling him that he was being politically incorrect. And it's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah. Oh, exactly, man.
So,
well, at least that's
it probably won't be Aziz, but
no, they're gonna pick like a regular voice actor guy. Like they're not gonna go for like some big name celebrity to be like a regular in The Simpsons. Like they'll just have to see with who they can get.
Not at this point.
Yes. All right, so now it is time that we're going to go and jump onto our next story. And with the next story, we're going to be still sticking into in the realm of controversies because like Apu, this is a name that we haven't heard in a long time, but when this name does appear, whoo boy, do things get uncomfortable quickly. And I'm talking about the studio Skydance Animation, which you may know it as John Lasseter's new home. Apparently what has happened is that for their first movie, Luck, they got a brand new director named Peggy Holmes. Now what happened was that previously there was a director working on it, which was Alessandro Carloni, who previously was the director of Kung Fu Panda 3. But apparently, according to my article here on Variety, he has split ways with Skydance due to creative differences, and they decided to bring in Peggy Holmes to be the new director. Now, it is important to note that Alessandro Carloni is not the only one that did bail out on the project. Earlier last year, there was Emma Thompson that also quit the project. She was originally the main star of the feature, but she decided to exit Luck mainly because as a protest because John Lasseter was now the new head and she did not want to be involved with him. So now at this point, what we do know is that they did get a director with Peggy Holmes, and I'll just read you a little quote here coming from the president of Skydance Animation, Holly Edwards, as she states, Peggy is an incredible creative talent and has already been a huge asset to our growing animation studio over the past year. We're so happy to have her leading the team creating Luck. She has the perfect mix of experience and artistic vision to bring this exciting project to the screen. Now, what is very interesting to note about Peggy Holmes is that she did direct a few projects, but for the most part, all she directed was The Little Mermaid 3, Ariel's Beginning, and a couple of Tinkerbell movies. But most notably, what she did throughout her career is actually a choreographer. She has done live shows in the past for Barbra Streisand and Michael Jackson. And she even did some TV shows like American Idol and Bette Midler's Gypsy, and even working on some movies as well, including Newsies, Hocus Pocus, A Very Brady Sequel, and even The Country Bears. So that's pretty much the big thing, is that now it's going to be a woman that will be directing John Lasseter's next big movie, Luck. Cel, do you have any comments on this?
Oh boy, this isn't... isn't gonna stick me in any kind of particular situation, is it? I mean, if we're just talking about a recent rehire, it's always a little bit of a red flag whenever you see that somebody got fired and rehires. I don't know how far Luck is into production.
Well, they said that it should be out by 2021. As they say. I think, I don't know if there's any confirmation about any release date changes, but so far they just said it is just going to be for 2021, and then we'll see how that goes.
Well, even so, even in Pixar's history, whenever they had to change directors in the middle, that didn't usually end up being their best stuff. So that's always a little bit. In terms of like, I have, and of course, I think everyone just has weird feelings about John Lasseter having a company and being back in charge, which is always hard. I mean, you can't pretend like the guy hasn't done really good animated work in history, and at the same time, it's like, could we have waited a little longer? Could we see more evidence that he understands what he did wrong? I'm not in the position of having people, depending on the situation, of course, of having somebody pay for it forever or that they're never allowed to work again. I feel like we could have used a lot more time. Again, I could see a lot more evidence. In terms of just the project itself, I know literally nothing about it. So,
it did say, like, if you want a little more info, there is one little paragraph here that does explain a tiny bit of what the movie is. It says, Luck is produced by Skydance Animation and Paramount Pictures in conjunction with Spain's Ilion Animation Studios and will be released through Paramount Pictures. The film is described as a comedy that pulls back the curtain on the millennia-old battle between the organizations of good luck and bad luck that secretly affects our daily lives.
Okay, not gonna lie, concept-wise, that actually sounds kind of interesting.
It is pretty unique, and it does sound like something that Pixar would try to pull off a little bit of an inside.
It definitely sounds like something they would do.
Yeah, like an inside-out style of movie.
In general, I find it very surprising, like, just that it's Skydance. I mean, if you look at the company in terms of what they've done, they have not done a lot of good stuff.
Well, I think they opened, like, back in 2017? They haven't even done much.
It's not even that much, but the stuff that they've done, man, does a lot of it suck. But I get really? that isn't really the point, because again, this is particular. They've never done animation before. This particularly the animation division. We don't know what they have in turn of that, and it's not like John Lasseter doesn't basically knows what he's doing. It's just more of a matter of like, how is everyone gonna behave going forward?
I completely understand what you mean. And in terms of the controversy with John Lasseter, I don't think it's necessarily the fact that he is working back. I think it's mostly because of the time frame that he worked back, that he got back into a new studio, because he was let go of Disney once 2019 began, and then literally 6 days after he was let go from Disney, he jumped into a new studio where now he's leading another animation studio. That's mainly the part that really got people very upset with John Lasseter.
That sounds vindictive. That doesn't sound like somebody that understands what he did wrong. So that's unfortunate.
Oh, yeah. And one thing that I will say about the fact that they did bring in Peggy Holmes to be the new director of Luck, I think I am starting to see what they are trying to do with the hiring of her specifically. And I think this is honestly more for marketing strategy. Like, this is more of a marketing tactic. Because the thing is
it does feel like that a bit, yeah.
Yeah, because inevitably Skydance Animation will have to make its big entrance into the animation market, and inevitably John Lasseter will have to make his big comeback with Skydance Animation, which already the grand majority of the animation industry and the animation community looks down upon John Lasseter because of his because of his history of sexual misconduct. And from there, what Skydance is going to do at this point, they are going to be heavily using feminism as a marketing tactic. That they'll try their best to present John Lasseter as someone who turns over a new leaf, and that they want to be presented as highly progressive, and that they really are for female empowerment, that they are for women, and that they want to give as many opportunities for women to work in the animation industry as possible, including making them film directors, just like what they're doing here with Peggy Holmes. So, and keep in mind, this is not a knock against Peggy Holmes herself. I'm sure maybe she could do a great job with luck, but I could definitely tell that this is mainly for marketing reasons, to make John Lasseter look good than it really is to go and help out with the movie, which, yeah, I can already tell with the amount of people that already left, like Carloni and Emma Thompson, this is a very troubled production, and it might not end well.
And that's unfortunate. I never really trust. It's always hard with unless the people involved themselves actually offer some kind of show of understanding or apology. These kinds of things always seem very artificial. And at the same time, I also get, like, it's not as though like first time directors don't appear out of, television or not having done very much and don't ultimately do a good job. So there's no stance on still whether that it is still worrying that it's like in the middle of a project. Well, again, I guess that's not always the case. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I just saw the Galaxy Quest documentary, which I loved, and that was a case where they changed directors in the middle, and the one they replaced it with was someone who had only done one movie, and Galaxy Quest turned out amazing.
Yeah. Oh my God, what a coincidence! Because I was just watching Galaxy Quest before we actually started this. Funny enough.
Right. No, I saw the college the Screen Junkies documentary, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much. So this isn't stating, like, there's still no way of knowing how this is going to affect the actual property. Again, we're obviously not involved in the back writers' room, so we don't know particularly what's going on. Was this someone who was brought on for marketing? Was this did they actually have a problem with the director that was already involved?
I don't know,
but it definitely doesn't feel particularly authentic. No.
Yeah, that's honestly my big take on this, is that even though we know little about what's actually going on with the actual production of the movie, or we don't fully know what's going on behind the scenes at Skydance Animation, I just feel like it's pretty obvious with what they want to do with the hiring of someone like Peggy Holmes that it's a lot more for John Lasseter's sake than it is more for Peggy Holmes' sake. Even though, like, technically Peggy Holmes is really getting a lot of benefits from this. She got hired to direct an animated film, so I don't think there's much she can complain about.
Well, I don't like the automatic assumption that every time a woman gets hired to be a director, it's only because somebody's making a diversification move, or a cover-up move. But at the same time, I can't ignore that, given the history, and that I have no idea if this woman has had ties with Lasseter or Pixar in the past in any way. So
yeah, well, looking into
in these cases, it's more about finding people that are willing to work with John Lasseter.
Exactly. It's more like, maybe it's not the case at all, but it's just that it's too coincidental considering who is involved behind the scenes and what is going on, like with the person and their past history, it's impossible to ignore. We don't want to make that assumption, and we would love it if the case would be that Peggy Holmes is hired because she's actually a very talented director and she has the capabilities of making Luck an amazing movie. But in this case here, because it is John Lasseter, because of his controversies and stuff like that, it's hard to ignore that, yeah, maybe she's just there to save John Lasseter's butt in the future to make him look rehabilitated.
Right. So we've probably exhausted this.
Yeah, but
So.
we have, but maybe the chat wall didn't. So now I want to pass on to you guys. What do you all think about the controversy? Well, not the controversy, but what do you think about bringing Peggy Holmes onto Luck? Do you think?
Bit.
Do you think this is something that would be more beneficial? Do you think a choreographer can help save the movie? Or is this more for the sake of John Lasseter? Let me know what you all think right now. Let's see, we already got some comments here. I don't think this will work either, since the logic could have also applied to Emma Thompson. If the project falls apart, push comes to shove, the studio has no one to blame but no one to blame but themselves for hiring a sexual predator, whether atoned for his crimes or not, or just fresh off of his controversy as well. I'm honestly concerned because of how John Lasseter is viewed nowadays, and I just don't like how this is just trying to make John Lasseter look good. Well, I mean, he is the guy with the money after all. Let's see here. Skydance were really stupid to hire John Lasseter. He's a liability and nobody likes him anymore. He has done great work in the past, but they hired him way too soon. Hiring a woman doesn't change the fact that the studio head was a creep, but seriously, Skydance, even God is telling you to stop with your movies Gemini Man and Terminator Dark Fate flopping in the box office. Just get rid of it. Yeah, I'm surprised Skydance is still even going, considering that things are really not doing well with Skydance in general. What makes them think they can move forward with animation? You know, it's gonna be like STX Entertainment right now. They've been doing so poorly with many of their recent films, and then they're trying to go into animation, and what do they got? They got Ugly Dolls, and then frickin' Playmobil the movie. And look how well that went!
Oh, God. It's just exactly what I thought they need. Animation is, because kids will watch anything, right? And animation is easy. We have those computery things.
we got those computery things. We got those cartoon people. They can do things for us. Nah, man, it ain't gonna work like that.
It's all just very unfortunate.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if Peggy was at least a bit nervous when being hired from John Lasseter. Did she know what happened to John at Pixar? But I'm also wondering what Luck will be like as her first theatrical film to direct, because so far she only directed direct-to-DVD films like The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginnings. Also, John, I know you could be a better person, unlike John Cristofalusi or debatably Chris Savino. But just in case, please control yourself. Well, I mean, the only thing that I could say to defend John Lasseter is that I am surprised that there has been no other news about John since. This is the first time John Lasseter's name has popped up since he was hired at Skydance Animation. I thought that he would be there for a few months and then suddenly he would be out. But I'm kind of surprised that there has been nothing so far that we have heard from John Lasseter. So far, he's been remaining quiet. We haven't heard any controversies about him, so I don't know.
Probably the safest political move or public move to after the initial news to just lay low as much as physically possible and hoping that people just forget what happened.
Yeah, essentially that would be the best move to do. At least John Lasseter is smart for laying low. I will give him that.
It's not even whether or not it's necessarily his decision. He could have a publicist that's telling him what to do.
I mean, he still has the Pixar money for that. So
I know exactly. It's he doesn't need to do this, which is why again I say that given the speed, it feels particularly vindictive, which is why it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and if I may recall in the past, if I remember the history of what happened in the case of John Lasseter, I think it really is more, it's not really John Lasseter wanting to get back to work. It was more Skydance that was so desperate to have John Lasseter to have him on board.
That does sound, it does sound like a case of he wanted, he technically wanted to keep working and they were desperate enough to grab him up.
Exactly.
It's not like we can do worse.
Yeah, you could tell that the intentions was to get the Pixar man for their team to make like the amazing films just like Pixar and stuff like that. Like you could tell that they cared more about that more so than the concerns and safety of their animators and stuff.
That definitely seems to be the case.
Let's see. I'll read one more and then we're gonna jump on to the next one. I still don't trust Skydance with how they. Oh wait, did I? I think I read that one. Oops, sorry. Hold on a sec. In a normal situation, I'd say it's cool that we're seeing the fruits of Holmes' labor. But when you factor in why she got hired in the first place, it actually kind of seems diabolical. Excuse me. It's bad enough that Lasseter has a history of abusing women, but using a woman to make him seem redeemed, that's just a big yikes for me, Chief. Let's just hope Lasseter has changed, but if not, let's hope it stays in his pants. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. This is getting a bit too uncomfortable enough. Let's just go and jump on to our next story, which I don't know if this is controversial or not. I know a lot of people are talking about it, but I mean, in one way of viewing it, I feel like it's not necessarily that big of a deal, but maybe there's a lot of people that are making it that big of a deal. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but a lot of people seem to be freaking out about the fact that Disney is taking away the Fox name. So what happened this week, and very recently in fact, was that Disney has revealed that they are going to be changing the names of some of their Fox divisions. More specifically with the 20th Century Fox Studios and Fox Searchlight, where now 20th Century Fox will be officially called 20th Century Studios, and they are also going to change Fox Searchlight to just become Searchlight Pictures. Now, right now, they are debating whether if they are going to do the same thing with their television divisions, like 20th Century Fox Television and Fox 21 Television Studios, but that will remain to be seen. They are in debates, but chances are, if they did that with their movie division, then they are also going to do that with their television division as well. Apparently, the changes will be taking effect very soon, and they stated that the new film that's going to be coming out, Call of the Wild, is going to be one of the apparently, oh no, it's actually going to be the first one to actually be released under the new banner. It is going to be the first movie to come out under the 20th Century Studios label. And as for Searchlight Pictures, their next movie is officially going to be Downhill, starring Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Will Ferrell. Now, the reason why they want to go and remove the Fox name onto 20th Century Fox and Fox Searchlight is mainly to go and avoid confusion from the other Fox. Now, as you guys probably know, when Disney bought Fox for nearly $72 billion, the only thing from Fox that they did not buy was the News Corporation. They did not buy Fox News. So, in order to avoid confusion, in order to avoid the possibility of people thinking that Disney might have owned Fox News, or that Fox News is still a part of stuff like 20th Century Fox and Fox Searchlight and stuff, they decided to just remove the Fox name, to keep Fox with Fox News, and that they would just go with 20th Century and Searchlight. Cell, do you have a take on this?
I mean, again, it just sounds like a very rational decision. It sounds like if you're going to have you're going to have two different divisions that are technically not related anymore that have the same name, people are going to be confused. And so it's just to reiterate that what they have is no longer associated with the same company that owns the news organization, and frankly, as little associations with that news organization as possible, the better.
Yeah, and also, just on a quick side note, there are some people that do state that apparently Fox Sports is also something that is separate from what Disney has bought. Disney did not buy either Fox News or Fox Sports, so it's more to separate themselves from that. And I think, like, yeah, for me, I feel like this is something that makes perfect sense. It's more for the sake of brand recognition and to differentiate from another company that has the same name as you. So, yeah, it does make sense that you don't want your company to be associated with something else, that you think like Fox News and 20th Century Fox are still a bit of the same thing, when in reality that's not necessarily the case. And I think the reason why, I guess, why a lot of people are making such a big hoopla out of it is mainly because technically of the political aspect, where a lot of people do believe that Disney is just doing it because they want to stay far away from Fox News as possible, because Fox News, they're highly political, like they're making themselves as highly conservative and far right as possible. So people kind of interpret that as a move that Disney wants to stay far away from the far right, which I think that's more of a coincidence than anything else. Again, it's not about the politics, it's more about the brand recognition. It's more for it's nothing personal, it's nothing political, it's just business. Like, yeah, I could see, yeah, and technically I do agree with you, Cell, that yeah, technically the more you separate yourself from Fox News, the better, because they have been controversial, and especially when some of their prominent personalities are not necessarily the kind that you would want to have your company to be attached to. But I feel like it's more of a coincidence than anything, and especially nowadays when so many people now are so emotionally invested regarding the subject of politics, that whatever discussions would be in there, that they would take this so personally. I could imagine how some people can interpret this the wrong way, and some people are thinking that Disney is making an attack on Fox News or something like that by removing the Fox brand, that, oh, the Fox name is dead, the Fox name has been tarnished by Fox News, so we must get rid of it and stuff like that. I think, like, yeah, maybe people can interpret it like that.
I mean, has it not been? I'm sorry, but
I'm not saying it hasn't. I'm not saying that it hasn't. I'm just saying it's more of a coincidence. Like, what Fox News did is more themselves.
No, you're right. No, this is just because, like, it's a different company now, so it wouldn't make sense for them both to have the same name. I think that is the most rational thing about the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a name change. I mean, it's not like there are more
it's obviously still trying to keep... It's still 20th century. It's still Searchlight. People still know what those things are. It's still, by keeping those, it's still recognizably those companies, which is why they didn't get rid of it entirely. It's not like, DreamWorks Oriental becoming Pearl Studios.
Exactly. Yeah, it's something like that, where and especially like now Disney owns Fox, so they're allowed to do whatever they want with it, and like even go and change the logo and stuff like that. And I wouldn't and honestly, I don't think they would even go and change like everything about it. I'm sure like even the title screen or like the logo before the movie, it's still going to be the same thing. You will still hear that memorable tune of 20th Century playing of like like that will still be playing.
I have no idea how the copyrights with those things go. Like, chances are that's probably going to stay exactly the way it is, because they don't, like, if there's one thing I think Disney is aware of, like, how hyper people are aware of like, their domination, so they at least they don't want, like, such obvious Disney fingerprints to be everywhere, so they want things to still feel like all of these various divisions. No, they're still exactly what they always were. We haven't done that much. We still have a nice diverse array of options that we are not controlling by one singular conglomerate entity.
And I mean, even legally, they cannot hide it either. I mean, like, there is going to be a major difference, especially, like, technically, the big thing that is going to change is just that the Fox name it's not going to be removed, but rather replaced with a Walt Disney Company.
Well, somewhere, yeah. Not necessarily right there in its logo. I mean, yeah, definitely in the credits, that'll be there.
No. Like, it will be a part of... No,
or
I think
Buena
it will
Vista,
be a part...
at least.
Yeah, no, I think it is gonna be, like, I think it is gonna be in the logo. Like, not, like, literally replacing Fox. Like, it's not gonna be, like, in the big golden words where it's gonna say, "A Walt Disney Company." No, it's gonna be, like, in the bottom. Where it's gonna be, like, 20th Century Fox, you got the memorable logo, or 20th Century, it's the memorable logo, and then on the bottom it'll just say, like, a Walt Disney Company. Something like that.
Well, is that what they do with Marvel?
Well, I know that's what, I don't know.
Because if Marvel doesn't do it, there's no reason why they would do it with Fox.
I don't think they do it with Marvel. I'm just thinking of, like, some of the other companies, like DreamWorks, for example. I know they do it. Like, when you have, like, the new logo of DreamWorks Animation, like, you got DreamWorks, and then in the bottom, I believe it says a Comcast company. I could be wrong on
like,
that.
You're right. It's probably, like, it's in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not, like, the forefront, so...
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not in the forefront. It's just going to be, like, a little bit on the bottom. Or like, the Universal Pictures logo. I know they do that. Like, I know they say, like, Universal, and then on the bottom it's, like, a Comcast company or something like that.
Right.
So, yeah, I think, like, yeah, there's not a lot to say, but I think that's more the big thing to discuss about this, is that it's just a little name change, and yeah, I get why people are gonna be making such a big hoopla about it, considering, like, the association with Fox News, and, like, once you get Fox News involved, that's when it immediately becomes political, but that's more of a coincidence than anything else.
Right.
Exactly. So, I think from there we could go onto the chat wall, and I want to see, do you guys got any different takes on what happened with the Disney, with the new name for 20th Century and Searchlight Pictures? Do you feel like this is something that is more of a big deal, or is it not? Let me know what you all think. And already, I got a bunch of people that are just commenting, "Hoopla!"
Okay.
Yeah, like it's just like, Disney drops Fox name. Hoopla! We'll rebrand as 20th Century. Hoopla!
Nope,
Hoopla!
I'm actually totally about that. It's like, sounds like a good decision to me.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, you could do that. That's cool.
I don't see any downside to this.
Alright, let's see. I know that this doesn't change much in terms of studio now, and I understand the reason to avoid confusion with Fox News, but this news comes off as tone deaf after buying the studio with so much history. It'll be like if AT&T changed Warner Brothers into Brothers Studio. It's movie history, and I don't think Fox founder William Fox would be happy about this when he had nothing to do with the news. Also, I think it'll just say distributed by Disney in the end credits. Well, honestly, you know what I think could happen is that maybe there was a discussion between Disney and Fox News. I think there was a discussion between the two regarding what to do, because I wouldn't be surprised if there was a legitimate scenario where they would go and discuss about who would be the one to take away the Fox name. Would it be Disney or Fox? And I guess Fox News.
I feel like even if one opted for the other, I think that Fox News is a much more a notable brand that can't really exist without the Fox. I mean, again, like we said, 20th Century and Searchlight can exist, are still recognizable without the Fox. I mean, what is Fox News going to be without Fox? It's going to be news.
Yeah, that is debatable, actually.
That's true. I said that, and it's like, that doesn't sound right.
Wait a minute. Exactly, I was
Fox
thinking.
News is giving out news? That doesn't sound correct.
Fox News, you take away the Fox, you don't really get much. You don't even get the news anyways. Alright, anyways, let's see. Normally, I'm not too bothered with companies being rebranded, like DHX Media renamed to Wildbrain, and Fleischer Studios renamed to Famous Studios, and later Paramount. But the fact that Disney has renamed 20th Century Fox to 20th Century Studios, and an over 80-year-old company kind of proves that it has become too powerful. Also, Fox is a bit of a recognizable name, and having it removed from 20th Century kind of removes the eye catch of it. 20th Century Studios doesn't quite ring a bell, my opinion. Well, I guess, like, if there is one thing that people would be upset about it outside of the political aspect, it would probably be the traditional aspect, if these comments are correct, is that, you know, this is something that people are too used to saying, like 20th Century Fox or Fox Searchlight, and there is a long history about it. So I guess in a way, maybe I could be wrong, but some people could interpret that as erasing history, maybe.
I mean, again, the 20th century, like, it may not be as catchy to say, but it's still recognizably the same. It's different. It's not different in a huge way. And if tradition is not the best way, the best reason to keep stuff the same. The way that we've always done things has been justifying racism and bigotry for years. That just saying that keep it the way it is because tradition is frankly a dumb reason for anything to not change.
Yeah.
To a certain degree. I mean, I don't expect Disney to change its name anytime soon, just because
no.
at this point it can't. But in this case, it's literally just it's just about separating the two entities because they're no longer associated with each other anymore.
Exactly, and I mean, like, technically, like with the morality of removing the Fox name from 20th Century Fox and Searchlight, technically that would be like discussing about the morality of Disney purchasing 21st Century Fox. So at that point, like, now that Disney has bought Fox, they might as well do what they want with it. I mean, like, the chains are pretty much off regarding the discussion about the morality aspect, because now under Disney, they have become an entirely different studio.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'll read one more.
I take it a lot. I'm just gonna. I don't know always exactly what it always means when studios transfer, but I gotta imagine that at least a couple of the same people are still there.
Mm-hmm.
So it may go through a lot of changes, but a lot of probably the top people haven't moved,
Exactly.
unless they were.
It depends. It really does. I'll just read more.
Again, I don't know the particulars. I don't. So.
Yeah. I'll just read one more before we're going to jump on to the next one. Good thing they are not removing the logo. The whole Fox thing is just a bunch of political bullcrap, but it is pretty reasonable why they are renaming it. Also, if they do the thing by putting a Walt Disney Company at the bottom, will they do the same with Blue Sky Studios? And I think I can confirm by saying no, they wouldn't. Because if they would have, then we would have already seen it by now with Spies in Disguise. And considering that,
is that too soon?
Well, no, because technically they have purchased Fox in March. I think the deal is officially set in March, like March of 2019. That's when they did the full purchase and everything. So I don't think it would be too soon.
But I don't know if because Spies in Disguise has been in development for longer than that, if that would have been.
But it wouldn't take long to actually do something with the logo. I mean, like, they keep in mind, like, Disney prominently promoted the movie on their accounts, like, on the Disney Facebook and Twitter page.
Oh, they did. Okay.
They were promoting Spies in Disguise. They had the premiere at the El Capitan Theater. Like, they gave Spies in Disguise the Disney treatment, but I didn't see them do anything on the logo.
All right, so if there's still options for them to change their mind about that in the future. But if they haven't, but you're right, if they haven't done it then no particular, and frankly, if they still haven't done that with Marvel, there's no stance that they probably will need to do it in the future.
Yeah, and actually, just to think about it, they didn't even do that with Lucasfilm either. Like,
yeah, I didn't think they would.
Yeah, they didn't do it with that. All right, but with that said, though, it is now time that we are going to be jumping onto the grand finale, and we have one more story to go and cover. And what a bit of a coincidence, because we were talking a little bit about stuff like Universal and Comcast and stuff like that, because that actually does relate to our next story. Now, we already have a lot of streaming services as it is. We already got Disney Plus, we already got Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, and so much more. And then we also got HBO Max that's going to be coming soon. But we still got one more big one that will be coming. One more big contender in the big streaming wars. And now we got a little bit more info regarding the Peacock. Yes, Peacock, which is going to be NBCUniversal's streaming service. They have revealed a lot of new information, including the price and the release date, which they stated that it will be officially coming out to the public on July 15th. But there will be a few individuals that will be getting it a lot sooner than that. In fact, to go a little bit more into detail about that, I'm going to go and read a little bit from my source here on Animation Magazine. As it states here, the service will be available as Peacock Free, a free ad-supported option with more than 7,500 hours of programming, and Peacock Premium, an ad-supported option that will additionally include full-season Peacock originals and tentpole series, next-day access to current seasons of returning broadcast series, bundled at no additional cost to 24 million Comcast and Cox subscribers, additional partners to be announced. Premium customers can upgrade to ad-free for an additional $5 a month, while other customers can get the ad-free experience for $9.99 a month. Xfinity One and Flex customers will have early bird access to Peacock Premium on April 15th. I also got a bit of a quote here from Matt Strauss, the chairman of Peacock and NBCUniversal Digital Enterprises, as he states, Peacock will provide customers with a destination that goes beyond movies and television, aggregating a variety of content that fans want on one service. By delivering timely and topical content like breaking news, live sports, and water cooler moments from late night, Peacock is uniquely bringing a pulse to the world of streaming that doesn't exist in today's marketplace. Now, from there, of course, they promise that for movies and TV shows, old and new, that NBCUniversal will do everything to bring their shows onto Peacock. From serious shows like Law and Order and Chicago, to comedies like 30 Rock and The Office, and even some stuff related to the news, like you can go and check out coverage of the Tokyo Olympics onto Peacock, and even some access to movies like Fast and Furious 9 and Jurassic World 3 that are going to be coming soon. And in terms of the animation content, which we will be focusing a lot, they promise that they will be delivering plenty, especially when they have DreamWorks Animation and Illumination Entertainment under their belt, in which they promise that they will have the first pay window to upcoming DreamWorks films like Trolls World Tour, The Boss Baby 2, and The Croods 2, and even new episodes of Curious George. And on top of that, they even promise some brand new shows, including Trollstopia, Madagascar A Little Wild, Where's Waldo, The Mighty Ones, and an adaptation of the graphic novel Cleopatra in Space, along with another adaptation of a graphic novel, and is based on a popular Dungeons & Dragons podcast, which is called The Adventure Zone. And in here it states that The Adventure Zone is a hilarious, heartfelt adventure that will follow a trio of poorly equipped, unlikely heroes and their long-suffering dungeon master as they reluctantly embark on a quest to save the world. Now, one important thing to note about these animated shows like Trollstopia, Madagascar, A Little Wild, and The Mighty Ones is that they're not necessarily going to be exclusive to Peacock, because also they're going to be available to Hulu, and Hulu is the one that did describe a little bit more details onto what these shows are. And for this one, I'm going to be reading my source here on The Wrap, as it states, for Madagascar A Little Wild, Lovable foursome, Alex the lion, Marty the zebra, Melman the giraffe, and Gloria the hippo steal the show in Madagascar A Little Wild, executive produced by Joanna Stein. Capturing the iconic personalities of each of the four dynamos, Madagascar A Little Wild showcases the team as kids residing in their rescue habitat at the Central Park Zoo. They might be small, but like everyone who lands in New York City, these little guys have big dreams, and Madagascar A Little Wild will follow all of their adventures. Next up, we got Trollstopia, which simply states, Trollstopia will be a new original based off of the famous Trolls franchise, following Poppy and other enchanting characters from the upcoming feature Trolls World Tour. And finally, we got The Mighty Ones, which is going to be an original series, which states, in every backyard, a secret world exists filled with tiny creatures. The Mighty Ones follow the hilarious adventures of a group of creatures, a twig, a pebble, a leaf, and a strawberry. These best friends, self-named the Mighty Ones, live in an unkept backyard belonging to a trio of equally unkept humans whom they mistake for gods. Despite their diminutive stature, the Mighty Ones are determined to live life large and always have fun in their wild world. So that's basically just a fraction of all the coverage that you would have for Peacock. And Sal, does that sound anything interesting to you?
I am not enthusiastic at the prospect of having to consider another streaming service. I understand the situation. I get that that's where we're just all heading. It is exhausting. Especially since right now DreamWorks' home is at Netflix, which means that all of that stuff is probably going to get moved over.
No, I don't think so. No. Because
the stuff's there going to stay there?
Oh yeah, because they signed a major contract. Like, if you sign a contract with Netflix, they will make sure that those movies will stay, or these movies or TV shows, they will stay as long as possible. I mean, that's also why most of the Disney movies from 2017 and 2018, they're not on Disney Plus. They're on Netflix. Like, if you want to watch Ralph Breaks the Internet, you have to go to Netflix.
Huh. Didn't actually know that. So, even then, DreamWorks is generally, I've kind of been bigger a fan of DreamWorks' cartoon stuff necessarily than a lot of their movies lately.
Oh, understandable.
And then I've generally never been a fan of Illumination, but I don't know what they'd be like if they took a stab at series.
I'm surprised they haven't done so. Like, I've been waiting.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, I've been waiting for so long. It's like, I'm just wondering, why the fridge have they why have they not done a Minions TV show? You'd think that would happen, like, more sooner than later. Like, I was expecting that since, like, early 2010s. And they have yet to even do any form of a TV show. I don't know why this is not a market that they decided to go into.
I think it's either because they're aware of the possibility of overexposure, and or they're just lazy.
Possibly.
Like, we already make so much money on these movies.
Time
Do
out.
we even need to?
Time out. Okay, and this is, keep in mind, this is going to be coming from a Despicable Me fan. What the fridge are you talking about with being concerned about overexposure? They made a Minion spin-off film. And this year we're getting the sequel of that spin-off film. What are you talking about?
Even more overexposure.
What are you talking about?
Like, even considering like how much it's flooded over like Universal Studios too. You're right. Why would they care?
Overexposure, my ass. That's a word that they don't know.
You're right. Okay, I don't know what I was thinking, but you're right. If that's the case, then I literally don't know why they haven't done it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like, honestly, one thing that I will say regarding Peacock, and I'll just say this immediately. So far, there is nothing that is really interesting me for getting Peacock. And I especially with
at the moment right now, me neither.
yeah, especially with the fact that with the services that they are offering with all the options, like that is a lot more concerning than it is promising. Because like already, like $9.99 a month for a streaming service, that's already expensive as it is. But like $9.99 a month, that's just for the option with the commercials. You have to pay an additional $5 a month in order to get it without the commercials. $14.99, which already at that is stupidly expensive. So from there,
it says ad-free experience for $9.99.
No. What?
That's what it says. It says other.
Hold on a second.
It's kind of weird. I don't know what it says by premium customers can upgrade to ad-free for $5, while other customers get ad-free for $9. I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, okay, so like the main. Okay, so the main Okay. Okay, I think. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, now I'm starting to. Now I'm starting to understand what it is. I think what I'm getting, because technically, like $9.99 a month. That's like the full premium without commercials and stuff like that. But I'm just wondering about Peacock Premium that has with the commercials, and I think that one would only be for those who have the Comcast or Cox subscription. Like if you already have Comcast, you'll have Cox, you'll have the Peacock Premium. But you'll have the one with commercials. If you want it without, then that means you got to pay $5 a month. But everyone
this
else...
already sounds way more complicated than I want to deal with.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, already even I feel a bit confused. But personally, in that regard, then I feel like in the case of Peacock Premium, then this is really going to be like... I don't think this is going to be one that will die out quickly. I think this is going to be one that will be like Amazon Prime in a way, where there is tons of subscriptions. There's a lot of people who have it, but it's not because of that. Like, I have Amazon Prime, but I don't do it because of the streaming service. I do it because of the benefits of Amazon Prime when you buy a thing and you can get fast shipping for free. That's the reason why I have my Amazon Prime. And it's going to be the same thing with people who have Peacock. They're not pursuing to get Peacock. They just have it by coincidence, mainly because they're a Comcast or Cox subscriber. It's just kind of like a free package. And it's going to be hard to imagine if there are going to be those people that would really want to go and pay those additional $5 a month fees in order to have it without commercials. I can imagine that plenty of people that they'll be patient enough to have it with commercials because technically they'll have Peacock Premium for free. So I think that's going to be...
That makes sense. Especially if you're not really emotionally invested in what they have available currently. I mean, it does say that they're going to have The Office, which I have heard people are crazy about. But I don't know if that means The Office is going to disappear from Hulu.
Well, not really. It doesn't seem like it. It sounds like there is going to be this collaboration with Hulu and Universal with Peacock, because even with the new, like I said, even with the new shows that they have coming from DreamWorks, like Trollstopia or Madagascar A Little Wild, it's not just going to be in Peacock, but also it'll be available on Hulu. So I think it's going to be a bit of a combination of both.
Yeah, I saw that some of the new stuff was going to go over there anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, if this just being free as a part of Cox, I mean, I guess we'll see how well that's going to turn out. I'm still...
Yeah, do you have Cox? Do you have Comcast, or...
I do have Cox, I think, is what I have.
Okay, so technically you will have Peacock, and you'll see how that will go.
Hopefully they don't... if this means that they're just going to raise the regular rates again, it's just... We're already the country that spends the most on, like, just general internet for dumb business reasons, which is frustrating. I hope this just doesn't mean that they raise their rates inherently. which will be a giant bummer.
As a Canadian, I can't really speak for that, but I do wish you the best of luck on that.
Yeah, it's one of the super fun things about living here.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
but again, like in terms of how this is gonna get handled, we got another like 6 months or so until this hits us.
Yeah, true. Like, I mean, the year is only starting, and I mean, technically, you only have half a year until this thing would be officially released. I mean, again, Xfinity X1 and Flex customers, they will have it a few months early on April 15th, but for now, I just feel, but honestly, one credit that I will give them is that this is a very smart move. The fact that they are offering it more for free instead of like just having it be its own streaming service. Like they know the competition is going to be huge, and chances are NBCUniversal is aware that they're not going to go and compete that greatly against Disney Plus or against what else is there? Like against either Disney Plus or Netflix. So they're not going to take their full-on chances, and they're just going to make it more as a free service for those who have Comcast or Cox or whatever. I think AT&T is doing a bit of the same thing with HBO Max as well. I'm not 100% sure on that. I would have to do a little bit more research. But I think they're doing the same thing, but with HBO Max, they are promoting it more as its own thing, whereas Peacock, they're kind of promoting it more as kind of like a bonus to your services that you have with Comcast and Cox.
Right. So that's at least one thing that they're doing slightly differently, and at least in terms of it's just going to be involved and at least appears manageable when you don't consider the other 5 options you could deal with. And it'll depend on what ultimately they have. Just know we're sometime in the future going to get these giant streaming bundle packs like we're already getting with Disney Plus. Wondering what this all is going to look like down the road, but in the meantime, until something that they make makes headlines in some way, I can't imagine I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I have Cox, like I'll probably barely even realize it's there.
Yeah, unless they have their Mandalorian that can make something really popular. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be hearing a lot about Peacock. This could be one of the very few moments I'll even talk about Peacock in here. Alright, so I think with that said and done, I would like to know from the chat wall, what do you guys think about Peacock? Do you think this is a streaming service you guys would like to have? Are you interested in having Peacock? Let me know what you all think. Let's see. I hope they'll be more careful with it than Disney has been doing with Disney Plus. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Disney, I mean, they don't have a perfect record so far with their streaming service, but I mean, like, they're slowly learning. They're adapting.
They have a lot of stuff in their vault, though. Like, they have a lot of things to offer, at the very least, as opposed to Peacock, which just doesn't, at least initially.
Yeah, true. I mean, like...
So that's kind of why I definitely didn't jump on Disney Plus right away. I still don't have it because I'm waiting for them to get a lot of their kinks out.
Right. That is true. That is true. Even for me, admittedly, I've been using it at a minimum. Like, at the most, I've been using it for Mandalorian and the Imagineering story, and that's pretty much it. I mean,
I have no stakes in Star Wars, so I had no desire to keep up with that.
Fair enough.
I am glad that it seems to have united Star Wars fans on some level, I think.
Kind of.
So there's just been that in terms of having Star Wars topic not be quite as negative as it's been in the past. But as of right now, I'm just waiting for new episodes of DuckTales to come in, and then I'll jump on board.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's see now. This streaming service is going to come 4 days before my birthday, but I'm thinking of skipping it. I'm still waiting for Disney Plus to come to my country, but they haven't announced it when it will. I know the UK is gonna have it in March. It might be just me, but that's a problem with several countries waiting for something exciting to come to you, but you have to wait at an unknown date. While other countries like the US and Canada get the good stuff early. Not even Hulu's available here or UK. Okay, that's unfortunate. Let's see. At this point, it seems like Sony and Paramount are the only major studios without their own streaming service and still have small ties to Netflix for that purpose. These new streaming service announcements are kind of making my head spin. My household currently owns 3 to 4 streaming services and may not be able to afford any additional ones, lol. But I understand this is a new direction we're heading with streaming services, bundle packs, and such. Well, we are only at the beginning of it, so of course we're going to be at the point where it'll start out being overwhelming, but then once the race fully begins, that's when we're going to see a lot that are going to be trickling down, you know? That's the thing with, like, whenever new media appears, you're always going to get several versions coming out first, and then the one who will prevail will be the one that will overcome the rest. It's kind of like many years ago with the big battle of HD DVDs versus Blu-rays. I think we all know who the winner was there.
You're right. Like, it's at some point, a lot of people are throwing their hats in the ring and seeing what sticks. I'll also say that for my money, like, I also have like a whole bunch of streaming services that I've technically got, because I go after the anime stuff too. And my whole thing is that I rotate by month. Is that in December I did Amazon Prime, but I unsubscribed from Netflix. And I'm back on, and I'm gonna go back on Netflix when the last of BoJack Horseman comes out. I'm currently pausing Hulu. Hulu has actually a good feature. Like, Netflix will keep your information for like 6 months before it fully deletes your account, so it's technically a pause on your billing cycle. And then Hulu also has a thing where you can pause up to 12 weeks. So if you when I had Amazon Prime, I basically went through all of the Amazon Prime shows that I hadn't watched, like Good Omens and Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which I liked a lot, as well as all the anime that was on there. And then sometimes you just go like, I've had enough of this site for a while. I'll turn it off for a month, so that way you can still have access to lots of different streaming sites. You just emphasize which one, and you don't have to pay for all of them at the same time.
Well, that's actually a pretty smart move. I never thought of that, actually.
Yeah, a lot of them are good. What I'm afraid of is that when we get further down the line, people are going to catch on that they're doing that, and then they're going to ask people to commit for a year. They're going to do things where they're going to have discounted prices if you come in for a year. Right now, streaming services are still keeping it at a month, so that's my current system. Like, I know that there was the whole thing with, I think there was the news article a while ago that when The Mandalorian ended, a lot of people unsubscribed from Disney Plus.
Yep, they did.
So the Disney may be the first one to jump on that dedicate for a year tactic. But as of right now, I've been doing pretty well in terms of rotating my streaming services. So because I care about watching, especially my animation legally, because animators are some of the least appreciated, least paid, and especially if you watch anime, those animators are basically treated like slaves. So I try to support that stuff legally as much as I physically can.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. Like, keep in mind, animators do not get paid by Kiss cartoon views. I think that's one.
Yeah, exactly, guys. So, like, if you want to support, find ways to actually financially support them. I mean, I know they say things like, sharing, doing your fan art and going on Tumblr and talking about it on Twitter. And it's like, guys, that's like paying artists artists are the first ones that will tell you that paying them an exposure is BS.
Oh yeah.
Give them some actual freaking money. If you appreciate them, and more important, like my whole big thing like this year in a lot of my videos has been that a lot of movies in theaters have been really disappointing. And again, one theater ticket in the majority of theaters these days is $10. Most streaming sites are less than that. Why would you pay $10 for one movie that will probably suck when you could get an entire month of any of the various streaming sites, which will give you hours of stuff that is probably immensely better? And there are so many people that are like, no, I can't afford to go to Hulu. Oh, but I'm going to go see Lion King. And I'm like, shut the hell up.
You know, honestly, there is a part of me that there's honestly a part of me when you were saying that it was great, but there was kind of a part of me that wanted to say shut up because of the fact that you said that ticket prices are $10. It's like, I'm paying like 12 to 15. My God.
Right? Right?
It's like $10? I wish they're freaking $10.
My point exactly.
They're getting too freaking expensive. So, no, I get exactly what you mean. Like, if you want to support these artists, you gotta watch these things legally. If you want to watch things like Hilda, then go to Netflix. You gotta, like, if you want to supporting means you gotta give your money to it. Again, Kiss Cartoon views do not make any money for the people working on the shows.
Right. And it only gives money to pirators.
Exactly.
So, and they make actually a ridiculous amount of money on those sites.
Oh yeah,
probably more than the animators do. And
especially with the weird big boob advertisings.
Oh yes. And I mean, you could always go, if you want to go the roundabout way and say that you don't want to pay for the streaming sites, but you want to give the money to the creators directly, I suppose you could technically do that. You should need to actually do it, though.
Yeah, first of all, prove it. You gotta have the receipts.
Prove it, yeah.
You gotta have the receipts. I'll go and read one more before we'll cap this off. I probably won't get Peacock since so far I got Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, Disney Plus, and Crackle, where they give out some good content. But for Peacock, I'm not impressed with how Comcast's content gives out. I would rather get HBO Max more since they have more impressive stuff than Peacock has. Comcast needs to do better than that. Also, do you find Cox as a dirty word since that word sounds dumb? Well, I mean, it depends on the context.
I mean, I guess that might be their hook. That might be their way they keep their name memorable.
There's a difference. There is Cox, which is the brand name, and then there's Cox, which is the plural.
Yep.
So there is that. But I think with all that said, I think that shall conclude today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Cell, this has been an epic episode, and let me say thank you so much for your contribution on this. It has been amazing. Now, before we go, I'm sure there are plenty of people that had such a great time with you. If they want to follow you more, can you tell us where we can find you on the internet?
Sorry, was that me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Sorry, can you repeat that again? I think you bleeped out for a second.
Oh, sorry. Oh, crap. It must have been a little disconnection from Discord or something. Yeah, can you tell people where we can find you on the internet?
Right. Well, I am on YouTube. I am Cellspex on YouTube. You pretty much just have to search for Cellspex on YouTube.
Just on YouTube? Any other social media places?
I am on Twitter, but YouTube is the main place where I'm at. Pretty much just look up Cellspex and whatever pops up.
All right, then that sounds good. And with that said, I would like to thank you all for joining me and Cell on this amazing episode. And tune in for more great episodes to come because I am sure that things will definitely still get crazy from here. So with all that said, I would like to say again, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. And until next time, see you later, dudes. Now you can say bye-bye too.
All right. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you have a good day.